Last three things on here. We are going to simplify something that has a pretty high exponent because we know that I squared is equal to -1. So we're going to rewrite this in terms of I squared. I'm going to write it as I squared to some power, and then I may need extra i's in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take whatever that exponent is, 35, and we're going to divide it by 2. Well, 32 goes into 35 17 times, which is 34, but I've got a remainder of 1 left over. Okay? So when I just do long division there, 2 goes into 35, 17, remainder 1. So if I'm rewriting this in terms of I squared, I'm going to have 17 I squareds. 2 times 17 is 34.
Is that an I in there?
That's an I, yep. I didn't put my dot on it. But I'm going to have an extra I on the end. 2 times 17 is 34, plus 1 is 35. Then I'm going to replace I squared with my -1. So I have -1 to the 17th power times I, and I want to simplify that. Well, what happens when you take -1 to the 17th power?
You get a negative.
You get a -1, right? So this is -1 times I. And what's -1 times I?
Negative I?
It's a -I. Can't do anything else to simplify that. That's my answer. So I went all the way from having I to the 35th down to just having a -I. So number 17, same kind of thing. I've got a big exponent here. I want to simplify it. We know that we can replace it if it's an I squared. Whoops, they're calling me again.
Hello? Yeah? So I got custody of him and he's not in school.
Oh.
So I'm trying to get him into school fast.
So, same kind of thing here. We have I to the 24th. We want to rewrite it in terms of I squared. So when I divide, 2 goes into 24 12 times with a remainder of none, right? So I'm just going to write this as 2 to the 12th power, because 2 times 12 is 24. I don't have the extra I on the end because I didn't have that extra remainder. So I squared again is going to be -1. So now my problem says I'm going to do -1 to the 12th power. What is -1 to the 12th power?
Negative 12.
Nope.
Oh. Negative.
Positive 1, because all those negatives cancel out and make it positive. And 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. Can't do anything else to simplify 1. So I just get a 1 for my answer. And one last one then. We're going to do I to the 53 power. So we want to write it in terms of I squared. We're going to divide 2 into 53. How many times does 2 go into 53?
Well, how many times does 2 go into 53? 26.5 it says.
So we're going to say 26, which is 52, with a remainder of 1. So I'm going to write this as I squared to the 26, but because I have this remainder of 1, I have to have that extra I on the end. Just like I did on the first one where I had that remainder of 1. We said I squared is going to be equal to -1. So we've got to do -1 to the 26th power times my extra I. What is -1 to the 26th power?
26. Negative 26.
Nope.
Oh, next. Negative 1 to the 26th power. 1.
Is 1, because 1 to any power is 1, right? So it's a positive 1 times I. And 1 times I would just give me I. So on these ones where you're simplifying with those big exponents, there are only 4 possible answers you should ever end up with. You should either get an I or a negative I, right? When we had that extra remainder of 1, we got I and negative I.
Uh-huh.
Or you might get 1 or negative 1. When you don't have a remainder, you get a nice whole number. It's either going to be 1 or negative 1. Those are the only 4 answers you should ever get. If you get anything other than one of those 4 things, it's wrong. It's only going to be those 4 things.
I'll be back.
All righty. Now that you're